With me right now from Third Mutual is Steve Parsons, and I'd like to welcome you back, sir.
Hi, how are you?
Great to have you here today.
Thanks.
And I keep wanting to call you the treasurer of Third, but you're now the first vice president.
Uh-huh.
And what you are doing today, you brought along slides of each of the directors, and kind of going over what they do on Third, primarily the different committees that they're involved in, right?
Correct.
So that way people get kind of a feel of what
Sure.
you guys do other than the monthly board meeting.
Yeah. Well, as you know, recently we had our elections. And we had some new people that were elected, and following right after that's the assignment to committees.
Right.
And I've had several people in the past come and say, who do I contact about such and such? And so I thought today I'd just go through the people and tell you what their assignments are within Third committees.
All right, so first, of course, we have the board president, Rosemary De Lorenzo.
Correct, correct. And as you can see here, she's actively involved in architectural standards. In the executive hearing, she's the co-chair. I'm the chair on that. In finance, she's a second co-chair. And in Garden Villa Recreation Room, she attends that and gets feedback from them and works things out that need to be done.
All right, and next, of course, is, I think, you.
Oh.
Yeah, right?
That's right. I have several things that I've changed from. Anyway, I'll go over mine. Architectural Standards and Control, I'm the chairman of that this year. I was a co-chair last year. Executive Hearings, I'm the chairman of that. And in Finance, first chair there, or first co-chair. And Parking and Golf Cart, it's a task force, okay? And we have different people that are on that. So I'm the lead chairman on that this year.
Okay. You know, quickly, executive hearing is, explain what that is, since many of you are on that.
Well, it comes down to where our residents, or it could be even a contractor or somebody like that, that doesn't comply with standards, rules, and things like that. We try to warn them ahead, and if compliance doesn't take place, then they come before a hearing of 3 to 5 board members, and then we basically look at their case, look from the staff side, look from our policy and procedures, then we make a value judgment based on what we hear from both sides.
Okay, all right.
And in some cases, we're actually able to really help people. And in other cases, we find where we're at fault, so we can change things.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you're not there to like kind of pound on the person. You're there to work it out. Figure out, you know, what's best for everyone.
And through that process, a person may be fined a small amount or asked to change some things like that. In other ways, we may have to go in and change some things at our own expense and just work things out.
All right. Next is James Tung, and I'm not surprised he's still on landscape and water conservation.
That's his heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's also, all of us are actually members of the Executive Hearing Committee. We try to stay away from those that have real so much to do, which are basically 2 people. But James is on this. He really comes in handy at times because we have a large Chinese community, and he's able to speak Chinese if they don't grasp the concept or something like that. And it's really proven invaluable in a lot of times.
Yeah.
He also sits in on water conservation with the people in charge of our water systems around the area. He's the first to find out about if there's going to be any hikes, what they're going to do about channeling water maybe a different way.
Okay.
Instrumental in looking at the recycled water installation, things like that. That takes quite a bit of time.
Yeah.
And sometimes he works with Betty, sometimes he works with Rosemary De Lorenzo, and gets things out in front of us so we can kind of decide where to go.
All right, very good. Next is Roy Brenninghaus, and he is the secretary on the board.
Correct. He's our new secretary this year. He comes from a background of HOA and also government. And so we're pretty fortunate to have him here. He is on the Architectural Standards Committee, like I am. In communications, he's a chairman of the Third Communications Committee. Okay, and there's a lot of things they get into, everything from printed materials to legal issues, all this kind of thing. He also serves on executive hearing. He's actually chaired a couple of those for me. And he's on the Resident Policy and Compliance Task Force. He's a chairman for that. And that's really an important thing that we don't advertise very much. But before we make resolutions of any sort, before we make policies and things, this committee gets together and really thrashes through the whole thing. And sometimes things come out different than
Right.
what they went in. Other times things are added, and if they need expertise from somebody else, maybe on staff or whatever, they get them, pull them in.
All right, yeah, very important. Now, Jack Connelly, who is on the board, back on the board, he was on the board, of course, for the past several months, and he takes your place, right?
Correct. He comes from a very strong financial background. He has several different degrees, and some of them are not in finance, some of them are. He went to the Kellogg School of Business for his master's, and he was in business administration, and he has a wide background even in investments. And Jack is really a compliment to us. He came on just at the right time, and he's really proven to be a very valuable resource for us. He also serves on the Traffic Hearing Committee, and he chairs the Finance Committee.
Okay. Now, Bunny Carpenter, and, oh, excuse me, I passed over Kush Bada.
Kush, he's a new director that was appointed this last year.
Yeah.
And great guy. He was born and raised in India, came here even though he's not from Indian descent. He's actually Persian descent. Great guy, and just so people-oriented, okay? And he does come from a hospitality background. He understands some things about engineering. So he's got quite a task ahead of him. So he serves on the Energy Task Force, executive hearings, and Garden Villa Recreation Room, and his big thing is maintenance and construction. So he's going to have his hands very busy working with that.
All right. And also, he is, you mentioned, what I wanted to mention is the Energy Task Force is, of course, a task force that is along with United and
Joint,
GRF.
yeah.
So
Joint,
it's a
yeah.
great task force.
So.
Bunny Carpenter.
Oh, Bunny is a dear person. She's really helped me out when I was treasurer, still continues to help us out. One of the things that's not reflected here is that she reviews all of our contracts before they're signed and delivered. And she was a government contracting agent, so she has a lot of experience with contracts. And so between the two of us, we're able to pick up on a lot of things, and she also goes through and looks for special provisions. And so if you have a contractor that's tried to slant everything his direction, she goes, no. You know, we need to bring this back and reword certain things and then sign an agreement that's acceptable to both of us. So she's very good in that. She's very good in communications. She serves on our executive hearing task force. Maintenance and construction, she's the first co-chairwoman. And parking and golf cart task force, and also our residence policy and compliance task force. She was able to do a lot of research for certain things on there.
All right.
It really helped out.
Very good. Another new board member who was just elected is Paul Chow.
Oh, Paul, a great guy, comes from an engineering background, and we have a lot of high hopes for him in many different areas, and just a great guy, great well-rounded person. He serves on our Energy Task Force, maintenance and construction, and water conservation. And this is kind of a warm-up. Down the road, he'll probably get more.
Yeah. All right. Now, someone that's been on the board for a couple years at least now is John Franco. And John was actually where I live. He was on our architectural committee up in RSM, where I live at one time. Yeah.
Yeah. He is a mechanical engineer, and he helps a lot in different things. As you'll see, as to the committees he's being assigned to, he's in the Architectural Standards and Control Committee, Energy Task Force, Executive Hearings, Traffic Hearings, Landscape. He's had a lot to do with that. And we're trying to get things done between M&C and Landscape, which a lot of times in the past hasn't taken place. But trying to work out those things. Maintenance and construction, he's the second co-chairman. Serves on our parking and golf cart task force as the co-chairman with me, and also works water conservation.
All right.
So
busy guy. Lynn Jarrett is new to the board, and I don't think she's new in general to folks who watch the meetings because she's often there, and she talks about the Garden Villa Association a lot. Yeah.
She's a past president of that.
Yeah.
And she knows a lot about what's going on. She attends or has attended a lot of meetings, including M&C, energy, and things like that. And she really brought it to the attention of the board a couple of years ago that things were really running down in garden villas. And we started taking a look at it, and we put an awful lot of emphasis and money into that area because she was right. And we actually have a staff person that's working over there part-time to help identify these things with the Gardenville Association. So she's going to be a pretty busy person too, with architectural standards, communications committee, Gardenville Rec Room, and she's the chairman of that. She works with landscape, water conservation, and parking and golf task force.
Okay.
So
now, even though there was an election, there's a board vacancy because one
Correct.
person dropped out.
Correct. Mr. Jules Zylan resigned, and of course he did it when I was gone, so I don't know everything behind it. But anyway, he did resign. And we're taking applications now. You can come to the corporate secretary's office on the second floor, pick up an application, and have it back to us by October 30th at 5 p.m. That's a Tuesday.
Okay.
Interviews and appointments will take place on Tuesday, November 6th at 11:30 a.m.
All right. So anybody who's interested, take advantage of that because you have a limited amount of time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there are some narratives we ask you to write.
Okay.
But it's not hard.
All right.
People don't need to worry about that.
All right. Also, you wanted to mention about the RV lot that's reopened.
Well, there's one I want to catch
Oh, that's
before
true.
that,
I'm
too.
sorry. One more.
We also have a vacancy coming up in
On the VMS
on the
board.
VMS
That's right.
board, and it's an appointed position from our
Okay.
board. So you can pick up applications now at the corporate secretary's office. Applications are due end of day Tuesday, October 30th at 5 p.m. and interviews will be taking place on November 9th at 11
Okay.
a.m.
All right. Now, the RV lot.
Okay. I was talking to Siobhan, who, as you know, has taken interim position for Brad Hudson, who just left. And I asked her if there were some things that she wanted to mention. She said, yes, I just want to remind everybody that Lot A has reopened. It opened
Okay.
on October 6th, and it was 3 weeks ahead of schedule. And they did a lot of extensive things down there. One person came up and says, you know, I know they've worked on it 3 times since I've lived here, which has been probably 15 years. Said this is the most extensive they've done. And they really tried to take care of a lot of problems in one fell swoop while the whole thing was vacant. And now those people that haven't moved their RVs back should be moving them back
Okay.
and getting them off the streets.
All right.
So it'll give the views back to the people who actually own the
Yeah.
units behind them.
And then finally, you wanted to mention this passive park.
Yes. Something else that Siobhan wanted to bring forward was over near Clubhouse 2, between that and the media center, I think they call it, used to be where they had the shuffleboard courts.
Right.
Okay, so they found out that that wasn't really being used and it could be better made into just a recreation area. And so you can come be on a icy green area, enjoy and relax the area, have a picnic if you want. And behind us is a great scenic overlook.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it is.
they're encouraging people to come over, take a look at that, and you can park close to it so you don't have any problems that way.
All right. Very
So-
good. I appreciate all the updates
Okay.
that you gave us. And again, if people are interested, either on the third board or the VMS board, you need to get your application in by October 30th for either one of those. And tomorrow is Tuesday, your regular board meeting will be
Correct.
taking place.
All day.
right. But in November, it's taking place a week later.
Yes.
So we'll remind
Correct.
people of that when
Correct.
we get into November. We don't want to confuse them this month.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, Steve, take care.
Okay, thanks a
All
lot.
right, we'll be back.